Yeah, so a lot of these celebrities, they're so upset with our oppressive system of government here in the United States, so much so that when a conservative gets elected to office, a lot of them a couple things happen. Either they threaten to leave the United States, or they just talk about it a lot. Like, hey, if Donald Trump gets elected, which, he has been, they're going to leave the United States because it's terrible and they feel oppressed. And so then they move somewhere where it's actually worse than the United States in terms of the ability to speak freely against your government, against others. Isn't it ironic? It's almost as if they are trying to escape something, which you and I know that's actually the case, because I'll plant this seed with you. Hollywood, as you know, is full of very unsavory characters. There's lots of them in and amongst it. We've heard this, we've read about it a lot, and we've been told little bits and pieces here and there, but it's really, really kept under the surface. P. Diddy, great example, right? Running sex trafficking, all this kind of stuff. It's pervasive in the entertainment industry. And a lot of people have spoken up about it only to have their character impugned and assassinated by those who are trying to keep it quiet. So let me back up a second again, just to talk about the whole nature of this whole entire thing. So these malcontents, theme of this video, they leave the United States, Rosie O'Donnell, and they trash talk the United States from very far away. Because they're real tough when they're far away from everything. That's another theme I could probably expound on. This whole concept of everybody's real tough when they're far away from something. When they can sit in, the proverbial armchair quarterback, all of it, right? Okay. So it illustrates to me, in my mind, that we have a nation full of malcontents. A lot of these leftists, these liberal types, all they do is complain of just how awful it is here. Not realizing or understanding that they have the right to do that. And they feel that if you speak against them and challenge their views, that you're being oppressive and you're being a fascist and you're being a Nazi and you're being Hitler and, all of these characteristics that they project onto you and ascribe to you. It's a projection. Because in reality, these people are everything they accuse you and I of being, right? Yes, of course. Any of you psychologists out there, you don't need to be a psychologist to understand this. It's just the human condition. Those who talk the most about being oppressed are usually the ones who have designs on. Let's go back to COVID, right? That's the classic example. We talked about that plenty back then. Did we not? Of course we did. We talked about it all the time because we could see it for what it was. It was a power play. They took an issue and completely blew it entirely out of proportion, all for the sole purpose of expanding government power and doing a test run on society to see how you and I would react. Would we fall in line? Hey, some of us fell for it. Some of us, because of circumstances, and I don't want to elaborate too much, took the shot, right? Only once, right? Some of you guys didn't, and I applaud you for standing your ground, and I think it's great. I've been asked about this, so there we go. I'm talking about it. But the point I'm trying to get at is that was a test run to see how we would react. Would we fall in line? Would we walk the little arrows? It was all social engineering. That's all it was, to see if people would play along, play ball, right? And who were the biggest advocates for all of it? Liberals. Shaming people in public for not wearing a mask. I don't know how many confrontations I got in over the whole mask business. I'll give you an example. I'll tell you a little anecdote just to kind of throw out there for your entertainment. So it was right in the middle of it, 2021, right in there. I'm in a store, not too far from where I live, got a cart full of groceries. I go up to the counter, and the girl behind the counter says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't check you out until you put a mask on." And I said, "Well, fuck you." And I left my cart and I went somewhere else and did my shopping. So she could, of course, spend time out of her day while on the clock putting all those groceries away. See, two could play this game, right? It was a game. It's all it was a big fucking game. It's a big power play game is all it was. And it's all it ever is. It's all this stuff ever is. These totalitarian regimes that have risen up throughout human history, it's just a power game. It's why our country's quite unique in that respect. We're the only country like this that broke away from an empire, signed a Declaration of Independence, told the British Empire, fuck you, we're going to start our own country. And the British, in all their arrogance, which hasn't seemed to have waned since we did this, said, no, we're actually not going to let you do that. And we're going to send our troops over there, and we are going to establish total control in the colonies. And then the Patriots rose up, the Continental Congress formed up the Continental Army, we fought against the British, and pushed them back to the sea with the help of the French. I mean, I'm giving you the, kind of the anecdote version of this whole illustration that I'm trying to make here. I'm going to run this video along because there's a lot to talk about. Sent them packing, and we had our independence in the War of 1812, and then some more fighting, and then it finally all settled, right? Yes. Citizens, you and I are armed. We can speak freely, practice our religion, due process, all this stuff. Protected within the Bill of Rights and the Constitution, which was never seen anywhere else in the world up until that point. And it's being attacked constantly. There's constant attacks on it through political oppositions, leftists, communists, socialists, right? And other countries. Proxy wars, right? Trying to diminish our strength, trying to keep us involved in conflict. Does it sound familiar? Well, it should sound familiar. So what has that done in the process? What's spun off of that in the process? It's created a population, a rather sizable population of malcontents here in probably the greatest country this world has ever seen. Is it perfect? Of course it's not perfect. Nothing's perfect. We're human. Our human existence is imperfect. But this is one of the best systems that the world has, that men have devised. I would say under the guiding hand of Providence. But that's another topic for maybe another video, another seed to plant. So these malcontents, let's get back to it. The one I read recently, Rosie O'Donnell. Raise your hand if you know who Rosie O'Donnell is. Unfortunately, most of us do. And she talks a lot of smack, does not like this president. They've had their back and forth. You've seen it. You've seen it. When Donald Trump attacks Rosie O'Donnell, calls her all kinds of names and, fat pig and slob and all this kind of stuff. And it's hilarious because he's just that way. He's not as much, I would think maybe he's kind of toned it down a little bit. He's getting older, he's mellowing. But the sentiment's still there. He still feels the same way about a lot of these people. And understandably so. Because all they try to do is undermine. They're not part of the solution. They're always part of the problem. Going out, breaking things and protesting and destroying private property. That's what the left does. When you and I go out and have our voices heard and go to protests and go to rallies and stuff, we do it peacefully. Like you're supposed to do. Remember the armed rallies that we were doing there a while back, with our open carry and all that stuff? We weren't out there looking to kill people. We were just doing a show. Like, you can do this. You can carry a firearm legally as a United States citizen, right? Okay, yeah. I feel like I really don't need to go over this because I think you and I intuitively understand this. It's understood. You and I see eye to eye probably on most things. Not everything, right? Yeah, it's the beauty of our country. You don't have to agree on everything. And the leftists, they think you have to agree with everything that they shove in your face and cry about and bitch about and complain about, because that's all they do is complain. They aren't solution-oriented people. So what else can I tell you? We're just coming off the 4th weekend here. It's Sunday. It's great. We lit a ton of fireworks. All the illegal stuff that you buy from the Indian reservation. It's awesome. And made a show and a spectacle and enjoyed it and had fun. And that's what we do. Every 4th of July, we celebrate our independence to show the rest of the world that we're serious about this country. At least most of us are, or some of us are. We're serious about it. Our freedom that's been fought for and paid for over the generations. Something to think about. But, liberals, they're going to cry about it. You can get onto any of your, if you get into Facebook, you get onto your little community pages. There's some around where I live, where people say, hey, I lost a cat. Have you seen it? Or, hey, we got a garage sale coming up. And, this kind of stuff, right? A lot of these whiny leftist liberals take the opportunity to complain about the fireworks going off. It's 4th of July weekend. People are lighting shit off. Deal with it.